Before we get started with today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app, because the OneFootball app is the app that I will be using throughout the World Cup to make sure I am staying up to date with all of the latest news, whether that be manager press conferences, early team news, player statistics, the group standings, anything. The OneFootball app is the place to be for all of your news at this World Cup. And then of course after the World Cup we will be back with club football, where OneFootball really has you covered, with match highlights of things like the DFB Pokal, La Liga and Liga Portugal, as well as full coverage of the Serie A, which includes a game that you can watch live for free every week. That is all to come after the World Cup. During the World Cup there is loads of content on the OneFootball app, so make sure to check out the link in the description down below and download the OneFootball app today. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we have yet another preview before the World Cup. We are getting closer day by day. Today we are talking about Didier Deschamps and perhaps the most unpredictable team going into this tournament, which is of course France. Now, why do I call them unpredictable? Well, there's a few reasons actually. One is just because the last tournament they weren't very good. At the Euros they just simply weren't good enough. However, the tournament before that, they literally won the World Cup, so we kind of see that unpredictability straight away. The other reason they are unpredictable is because of their formation. Now, for the past 18 months or so, France have largely been using a back three. Normally a 3-4-1-2. We saw this formation used in the Nations League last year, where they had a lot of success, went on to win the tournament and put in a really good display against someone like Spain. However, just a couple of weeks before the tournament starts, Didier Deschamps has said, we are ditching the back three. Now, is that a mind game? Is that something to try and get in ahead of the other teams in the group? Maybe, but it's such a bold statement. I think there has to be an element of truth to it. And that is exactly what makes this preview really, really difficult, because I can't talk about how they set up because we just don't know. What we can do though is kind of try and figure it out together. So get in the comments down below and kind of give your views as I'm going through this. Every time I say something which you note, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Do you think they will do this? Let's look at a couple of different structures that they could use. So probably the easiest shape that France could shift into is a 4-2-3-1, because I think this probably is the closest shape to suiting the personnel that they have. In terms of the back four, they got two solid centre-backs in Varane and Upamecano. There's also other options as well, the likes of Konate and Hernandez. They then have good fullbacks in Theo Hernandez at left-back, Pavard at right-back, a solid midfield base of Camavinga and Tchouaméni, who I will come back to later on, and then a three of Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele behind Karim Benzema. Now, just looking at it like that, that looks really exciting. And I think this is the shape that I would like to see from this French team. In terms of how it could shape up in-game, I would expect to see Theo Hernandez really being given the license to push forward. For me, he's maybe the best left-back at the tournament, certainly one of the best attacking left-backs at the tournament. And France need to take advantage of that. They need to get him pushing high and forward. What that then does is allows Kylian Mbappe to move inside, which is a good thing. Yes, he has played on the wing in the past, but these days he is better getting closer to goal. Playing kind of off the left-hand side, given that license to sometimes hold the width, but also sometimes come inside, is the best way to use him in my opinion. What this would then allow France to do is build in a 3-2 shape, with Upamecano, Varane and then Pavard tucking slightly narrower from right back, get Ousmane Dembele really holding the width on the right wing, use him as an isolation winger. I think this looks like a really nice shape, and it gives Griezmann this ability to drift about and get on the ball in different areas. I think that this structure looks really nice. And if you look at the players in these positions, they look pretty much perfectly suited to the roles I'm asking them to play, apart from Upamecano not being left-footed, although there is the option of Lucas Hernandez who could kind of address that. I think if this was the case, and this was how they were looking to play, the importance would be, can they progress the ball from the back? And someone that would be important to that is Aurelien Tchouaméni. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is JerseyFIFA.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video. Now these are his stats from a Nations League game against Croatia in the summer, and he is just incredible. We've been talking about this guy for some time now, in fact a really long time on the channel. He is incredibly good at football, and the rate at which he's growing is stupid. I dare say there will be a lot of people who will watch this World Cup who actually won't know too much about him. Perhaps people that just follow the Premier League or don't massively follow footballers on social media, things like that. Tchouaméni could be a player that really takes a few people by surprise. Of course, the passionate fans, most people on this channel will know about him. He is wonderful. But this could be the tournament where he really kind of makes a name for himself on the international stage, because he's just so good. He's going to bring a real balance to this French midfield. But also I think he's getting better on the ball as well at Real Madrid. We are seeing more progressive passing from him, still safe passing at times, absolutely, but more progressive passing through the lines and also switches of play, and then with Camavinga alongside him, you've got two midfielders who are not going to lose the ball very often at all. A really sturdy base to build possession from. It gives someone like Pavard the license to step forward, someone like Upamecano to step forward, and again it lets this front five do kind of what they want a little bit. And of course, in terms of that front five, we know who the important players are. One of them will be Griezmann. For France to do well, I think Griezmann needs to have a really good tournament, because whilst this shape does look quite nice, the question mark I have is over central creativity. Now, Upamecano, Pavard, Varane, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, all very decent at controlling a football and progressing a football. I wouldn't say there's a lot of creativity. And Mbappe isn't a player that's going to particularly provide creativity. So in the central areas, chance creation is a question mark. Out wide, they've got it covered in Theo Hernandez and Ousmane Dembele. They're fine. Loads of balls coming into the box. I think in central areas, they need Griezmann to have a good tournament, no matter what the formation or system is. In terms of what we've seen from him recently, he's doing okay. He is in decent form. But I think France need that little bit extra. They need him to be on the top of his game, getting into these little pockets of space in between defenders, forming a close triangle at times with Benzema and Mbappe, because that trio together, playing quick 1-2 touch football, could really be deadly. Teams can kind of set up in their defensive structure. When you play quick football with quality players like this, it's just so hard to deal with. So I think Griezmann is going to be the key, no matter what formation they use. But speaking of formation, there is another option as well, and I do just wonder if this is what Deschamps will go for. So this next shape is the 4-4-2 diamond, and straight away, it's not quite as exciting as the previous one because you are bringing Rabiot in for Ousmane Dembele. Now, Rabiot has been in good form in recent months, however, he's nowhere near as exciting, creative, as much flair, as much skill, as many moments of magic as Ousmane Dembele. Completely different players, completely different positions. So immediately, it does look a little less exciting. The other issue, again, I still think, is central creativity. Rabiot isn't creative. Tchouaméni, again, not the most creative midfielder in the world. Neither is Camavinga. In terms of the drawback to this shape, is that you also don't have it as much out wide either. Now again, I think Theo Hernandez would be given the license to get forward, put crosses into the box, so they still have that threat down the left. But I think down the right with Pavard's a good player, don't get me wrong, very versatile, can play a few different systems, a few different positions. I don't think he is ever going to be a player that really bombs forward down the right-hand side and swings loads of crosses into the box. Now I've said that, he's probably going to recreate his goal from the last World Cup, which was an absolute stunner, one of the best goals I've ever seen live. Pavard right back is not the same as Ousmane Dembele providing you a threat. So that would be my concern for France in this formation. However, I do have a real feeling that this is what Deschamps is going to go for. And the reason for that is because in his press conferences, when he's talking about switching away from the back three, one of the things he has said is that it doesn't give the team enough cover, enough defensive cover at the back, too exposed. So I do wonder if he goes for that extra workman-like player in Rabiot over someone like Ousmane Dembele to get the extra bodies in the centre of the pitch. And if I was a French fan, it wouldn't exactly be what I want. It's a bit cautious, it's a bit pragmatic. France have so many good attacking players. Coman, Ousmane Dembele can easily come into this team. Players like that, really exciting, world-class forward players. It seems a bit of a shame to not use them because you're worried about conceding at the back. Personally, with big teams, I like to see them playing to their strengths, which for me is getting Ousmane Dembele on the pitch, rather than trying to cover their own weaknesses, particularly in the group stage where France should be fine. So those are my thoughts in terms of the formation options. The 3-4-1-2 is the formation that has been reliable for France in the past 18 months or so, but it looks as though Deschamps is moving away from that unless he's trying to trick us all. The 4-4-2 diamond is another option. Quite passive, quite cautious, pragmatic perhaps a little bit, but it could get the job done and could tighten up the French defence. However, for me, I think the most exciting shape would be the 4-2-3-1. Either way, no matter what the shape, there is one key player for France. Kylian Mbappe. And the reason that he is the key player is because look at his stats from the last 3 seasons at club level. 42 goals and 11 assists in 47 games, 39 goals and 26 assists in 46 games, and then 19 goals and 5 assists in just 20 games so far this season. This guy is going to go on to challenge for Ballon d'Ors every single year for the rest of his career, as long as he makes sure he keeps his mentality right and keeps fit. Kylian Mbappe is going to be their main man. However, while the French do have all of these quality attacking players, they do have that same problem that I said right at the start of the video, an inconsistency and an unpredictability. Let's just look at some of their results so far this season. This is from the summer in June through to September. Lost to Denmark 2-1, drew 1-1 with Croatia, 1-1 with Austria, lost 1-0 to Croatia, beat Austria 2-0, and then lost 2-0 to Denmark. That is not a good run of form at all. Now, there are some difficult games in there, and Deschamps did rotate and experiment a little bit, as a lot of teams did in the Nations League. But I still think coming into a tournament off the back of this form isn't ideal. People are talking about it with England, how poor they were in the Nations League. We have seen it from other teams as well. The likes of Germany weren't great, Spain weren't great, France didn't do too good at all, and the worrying thing there is those 2 losses to Denmark, especially when Denmark are in their group. And Denmark, for me, are one of the most underrated teams going into this tournament, and I'm seeing people talk about Denmark as a dark horse. I think that's disrespectful. I think they are so much better than a dark horse. Look at their qualifying record. 10 games, 9 wins, 30 goals in 10 games, and conceded 3. Now, yes, Moldova, Faroe Islands, Israel, Austria, Scotland, not the greatest opponents in the world. But I always say this, conceding that fewer goals at any level is extremely impressive. I don't care what people say. To concede only 3 goals and score 30 in 10 games is a phenomenal record. Denmark are extremely dangerous going into this tournament, and this will be the only group with 2 teams in the top 10 FIFA rankings. This will not be easy for France. We kind of look at it and go, France, Denmark, yeah, France are going to finish top. Keep an eye on Denmark. They will cause a lot of problems for this French team, and in my opinion, they are a better coached team, and tactically, I think their setup is better. However, perhaps Deschamps can do something with the 4-4-2 diamond. Perhaps that's why he's gone for this, because those other shapes didn't work against Denmark in the summer. Perhaps that is his reasoning. It's actually going to be really fascinating to see how this French team plays out. Because, as I said again at the start of the video, in the Euros, they weren't very good. They were really poor during the group stage and then spluttered against Switzerland before going out on penalties. But the tournament before that, they won the World Cup. And at times played some really good football. So this French team is capable. Yes, there are some different players in there. There's no Paul Pogba, there's no Kante, which is a loss. But there's still a lot of quality. Now, this video has been a little bit shorter than some of the other tactical previews. But I think that is where I want to leave it. I don't really want to say anymore. And like I keep saying, the reason for that is because they are so inconsistent and unpredictable. When a manager just a couple of weeks before the tournament says, we are changing formation completely, and it's not like going from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3, to completely ditch the back 3 and go for a new system, I can't sit here and say to you, they are going to do this, they've been doing this, this will work well, they will struggle with this. It's really difficult. We've looked at a few formations that they could use. Now get in the comments down below, let me know which formation you would like to see from them, which you think would be the best, who their key players are, what the key battles in the squad are, Ousmane Dembele versus Coman, for example, who should start there, Camavinga or Rabiot, things like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think this French team is really interesting, really difficult to predict, and that makes them quite exciting. But yeah, that is all I want to say today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.